Welcome to the Eversio Experience podcast. I'm Brandi Garden, the co-founder of Eversio Wellness, and I'm here with my co-host, Desiree Caruso, who has a background in naturopathic medicine.
We're here to talk all about the world of mushroom wellness because mushrooms are critical to the maintenance of our physical well-being and our collective mental health.
We believe mushrooms are symbols of interconnectedness, and we're so excited to connect you with the health, wellness, and wisdom that they have brought us on our journey to this moment.
Our ancestors had deep cultural connections to mushrooms, but today they remain understudied, undervalued, and often misunderstood by much of modern society.
So we are here to change that. Eversio means change, and it's our mission to change lives through fungi.
There is a mushroom for every moment.
And we're so glad you're here to share this moment with us.
Welcome back to the Eversio Experience podcast. I'm Dr. Desiree Caruso. I'm a licensed naturopathic physician, and I'm here with my co-host, Brandi Garden, the co-founder of Eversio Wellness. Today, we are diving into a fantastic topic. We're going to talk about the role of functional mushrooms in supporting high-quality sleep. Sleep is foundational to our health, and millions of people struggle with it every night, whether it's trouble falling asleep, staying asleep, waking up feeling refreshed. There are some natural solutions that are backed by science, and the best thing is that they are free. We also know that functional mushrooms have been studied for their adaptogenic properties as well as their calming properties, and today we're going to explore the research and do a comprehensive 10-step optimal sleep routine. But before we get into functional mushrooms, we really need to chat about why sleep is so essential. We know that the lack of sleep has been linked to a wide variety of health conditions like cardiovascular issues, mood disorders, weakened immunity, weight gain, and even shortened life expectancy. Quality sleep affects every single system in your body, and it is the ultimate recovery tool for both the mind and body. And sleep deprivation isn't just harmful. Studies show that staying up for over 24 hours can impair your cognition as much as having a 0.08% blood alcohol level, basically being legally drunk. That's crazy.
Crazy. I love that opening because that was me in university. I thought it was cool that I could just live my life, go out dancing all night, then come home and write the paper that was due the next day and hand it in. And yeah, hitting that 24-hour mark. Yeah, I was legally drunk and I thought I was a superhero for it. I thought that was just a badge of honor for me. And only as I got older and wiser and had children, really started to appreciate sleep and understand the effects of it long term when I wasn't getting it, did I really start to prioritize my sleep and value my sleep and just really understand sleep. So Dr. Desiree, as a naturopathic doctor, when someone comes into your office and they say things to you like, oh, I don't need that much sleep, what do you say to them?
Yeah, I say, well, actually, sleep is really important. And I think the biggest thing too is that there's conditioning out there that you need to be getting 9 hours, you need to be getting 8 hours, you need to be going to bed at 9 p.m. and waking up at this time. And the reality is it's going to be different for everybody.
Yeah.
How I sleep is very different than how you sleep and our different routines. There are some consistencies, I will say, between our sleep and our sleep routines, and we'll dive into that. But the reality is it's different for everybody, but we do need sleep. Sleep is crucial to be able to function, to show up as your best self, and also to be healthy.
Yep. So nobody's getting the free pass from Dr. Des if you go see her. Nobody's going to get permission to get only 4 hours of sleep at night. It's not a thing. If you have a teenager in your life, I'm sure you've had this conversation with yours like I have had with mine. Nobody is exempt from this. Whether you're getting 7 hours of sleep or 9 hours of sleep or whether you like something in between there, welcome to the classroom because Teacher Brandi is going to just explain to you the science of what's actually happening while you're sleeping so that you'll see that if you are human, you're going to go through the same thing as everybody else. And this is what really made it make sense for me and to make me start prioritizing my sleep. So when you sleep, what's actually happening in your mind and your body when you sleep is that you're going through cycles. For me, I'm going through cycles in 90-minute cycles, and I only know that because I wore the Whoop strap. As you know, we have all of these biometrics available to us. And Dr. Des, you still wear your Whoop strap at night?
I do still wear my Whoop strap at night, yeah.
Okay. I don't wear it anymore, but I might go back to it because I'm curious after a couple of years of meditating, which I wasn't doing as consistently back when I wore the Whoop strap consistently for that year. I'm curious to see what would change. But what I did discover was that my personal sleep cycles are about 90 minutes. And I think the average is between about 90 and 120 minutes. And we go through those cycles for however long we're sleeping. So for me, I know I go through about 5 cycles in a night. I sleep for about 8 hours, 7.5 hours. So for me, when I started looking at what's happening in those cycles, I understood that each of those cycles looks a little bit different. And they repeat. So they do repeat. You have a 90-minute cycle and you're starting again at the start line, but that next cycle is going to look a little bit different as we go through the night. And each of those stages in your sleep cycle has this purpose. To get a full cycle of sleep, you're going to get between 90 and 120 minutes. You're going to go through between 4 and 6 of those cycles per night, depending on how long you sleep. And each of those cycles has these 4 main stages. 3 of them are non-rapid eye movement or NREM sleep cycles. And one of those is a rapid eye movement or REM sleep cycle. At night, as it progresses through the night, the balance of the stages shifts. So early in the night, you spend more time in deep sleep. And later in the night, your REM sleep dominates, and that's your dream sleep. And that's why we often remember our dreams when we wake up in that stage. So stage 1 is an NREM or a non-rapid eye movement stage. And this is what's called light sleep. And this is when you're drifting off. So this is the beginning of everything. This lasts between 1 and 7 minutes. It's very brief. And you're feeling drowsy in that stage. You're transitioning. So you're going from wakefulness into sleep. Your muscles are relaxing. Your breathing and your heart rate slow down. This is when you can kind of experience those, they call it a hypnic jerk, but it's that sensation of falling. And that's definitely me. I kind of do that twitchiness. You can see that happening for people. Your brain activity is slowing down, but you're still somewhat aware of your surroundings. And I don't know about you, but I love this stage. It's like putting your phone into sleep mode, right? Your screen is dim, but you're not fully off yet. So that's stage 1. And then you go into stage 2, and this is deeper relaxation. This lasts for about 10 to 25 minutes per cycle. And over the course of the night, this stage is like 50% of your total sleep in deeper relaxation. And I really saw that deep sleep on my Whoop strap be affected by how this kind of stage 2 went. That's coming right before our true deep sleep. This is when your temperature is dropping in your body, which has to happen for good sleep. Your heart rate and your breathing are slowing even further. And brainwave activity shows these bursts of activity that are called sleep spindles. It's really cool in neuroscience. I won't get into it. But you're fully asleep now. Okay, so you're fully asleep, but you're still in the lighter stage of it. And it's like you're a car that's just sitting there idling along. And then you drop into your stage 3 sleep, which is still a non-REM sleep stage. And this is the deep sleep. And this is what I was after on that Whoop strap. We got a little competitive on these scores. How much actual deep sleep did you get? And the reason we wanted a lot of it is this is the most restorative stage of sleep. We call it slow wave sleep. Your brain is producing those delta waves. And delta waves are something we don't even get when we're meditating. We don't have them in waking stages. These are precious waves in our brain that are only available to us through this deep sleep. And it's the slowest, largest brain waves. We talk a lot about coherence, heart coherence and brain coherence. And these are these big, beautiful, slow brain waves. It's really hard to wake someone up in this stage. And if you do, which I've been in that stage, and a child has tapped me on the shoulder and you feel really groggy, it's not a nice feeling to be woken up in this stage of sleep. This is where tissue growth and repair happen. The immune system activity peaks at this time, and growth hormones are released. And we have a good friend, Samantha Gladish, who loves to say all of the time, if you're not sleeping, you're not healing. And this is what she means. If you're not getting deep sleep, you're not getting to that immune system activity peak where you are doing this healing. So this is like your body going into maintenance mode where the heavy duty repair work is getting done. And then after that stage 3, you are dropping into stage 4 sleep, which is your REM sleep. This lasts for about 10 minutes in that first cycle, that first 90 minutes for me. And this increases. So this REM sleep increases till when I'm in a final cycle of sleep, my 5th cycle, I might be getting 60 minutes of REM sleep in that time. Over the course of the night, about 25% of your total sleep will be in REM. And in REM, your brain becomes very active. And it's almost as if you're awake. It's where your vivid dreams occur. Your eyes, for someone to be looking at you, are doing that darting rapidly under your eyelids. This is why it's called rapid eye movement. but your body actually becomes paralyzed. And this is the function is to keep you from acting out your dreams, except for essential functions, of course, like breathing. You're not paralyzed to a point where you're not functioning. Your heart's beating and you are breathing, but you are still otherwise. And REM is critical for memory consolidation, emotional regulation, and creative thinking. This is like the editing suite of the brain, where everything that you've experienced gets reviewed, it gets stored, or it gets discarded in the night. So much work is going on. So you're going to go through those 4 stages multiple times through the night if you're getting enough time to go through them a few times. And we want to have multiples of them because we are getting more of the REM sleep near the end, and we're getting more of the deep sleep at the beginning. So in that first half of the night, you're spending more time in deep sleep where the repair and the recharging is happening, and the REM sleep is relatively short. And in the second half of the night, your deep sleep decreases. You spend more time in REM sleep, and that shift helps your brain process emotions and solve problems and consolidate your memories. We need all of the stages, and it makes sense. Stage 1, gently transitioning us into sleep. Stage 2 is preparing your body for the deep sleep and strengthening memories. Stage 3 is restoring your body, boosting your immunity, supporting your physical recovery. And then your REM sleep is refreshing your mind, regulating your emotions, enhancing creativity. Like, it's such a beautiful way we've been built. And when we interrupt some of those cycles, they don't feel good. We all know that we don't feel it. And it's why waking up at the right time in a cycle, like waking up during stage 1 or in light stage 2, makes you feel more refreshed. We want to come out of sleep at those times. And I love an analogy. So if I was explaining this to my teenagers, to a child, and telling them how important it is that they are doing all of the things we're going to talk to you about today, and thinking about all of this research that Dr. Des is going to share, we think of our brain and our body as a house, and sleep is like opening the door to your house and stepping inside. And that's stage 1. That's that beginning stage when we're just drifting off. Stage 2 of sleep is like tidying up your house. You're prepping the house. You're doing what you would do before guests come over. Stage 3 of sleep is you are fixing your plumbing. You are repairing your roof. You are doing that deep cleaning work that's happening. And the REM sleep is the time you get to decorate your house. The part I love the best. You're organizing. You're creating new ideas for your house. And we need to do all of those things. We've got to get in there. We've got to prep things. We've got to fix things, and we've got to make them beautiful. So taking care of your house at night through great sleep is a huge priority for me. I know it is for you too, Dr. Des. Like you said, we both do it so differently. However you're approaching it, and you're going to be different than us, we all have these same cycles we go through. We all have these same stages within each cycle. And I just love remembering that as I'm drifting off, that I don't have to think about those now. I know my body's going to do those things naturally if I have set it up for success.
I love that. That's a really beautiful analogy, because it just gives people a great idea of all of the things together, and it's so easy to understand. And yeah, you and I definitely have 2 completely different sleep times, I guess, is the biggest thing. And I will say that if you're somebody who's listening to this and you are maybe more of a night owl where you prefer to stay up later, that's okay. That's your permission slip to honor how you are. I'm sure, Brandi, you can speak from experience. When people are talking about sleep, people can be quick to frown upon or judge people who maybe stay up later and have a later wake time.
And there's so much in the media right now about sleep, and we're all hearing about Brian Johnson. He's the guy who has a $2 million wellness routine and is trying to live forever, and super cool research going on around that, and so much respect for someone that has made it their job to biohack the body to a point to figure out if we can not die. Like, I love the research. But one of the things he's talking about on all the podcasts he's going on is that he goes to bed every night at 8:30, and he thinks that that is what we should all do. And I'm just like, how unrealistic that is for us as humans. And I know I'm someone that goes to bed too late, and it's not ideal. But my life right now, for instance, last night, my daughter's a dancer. She finished dance at 10 o'clock last night. We pulled in our garage at 10:15, and she's wired. Her body's just been through intense exercise. She's got the data download to me. I want to be a good parent and do that listening. And there's a lot going on in engagement at a time of night that I can't change based on what she's chosen as her extracurricular activity that I want to support. And I'm so aware that this is for a short phase of my life. I'm not going to do that forever. Would I go to bed earlier if I could? I would. And I have at different stages. For me, I'd love to be in bed at 10. That would be ideal for me. And I have gotten in bed earlier sometimes, but I'm definitely, like you said, I'm the night owl and I tend to be up later. And I'm very aware that that is something I hope as I'm older that I will be able to bring back to a more reasonable time. And what about you, Dr. Des? What's ideal for you or what's typical for you?
I mean, it really depends for me, but I would say I am somebody who, and I think my body just genuinely loves going to bed a little bit earlier and waking up earlier. I know your husband, Craig, is the same way in the sense he likes to go to bed earlier and wake up earlier. So sometimes that can be tricky. And for those of you who are listening, maybe your husband also likes to get up earlier. Maybe you're the one who likes to get up early. And there are going to be some tips and tricks that we're going to share with you just to try and maximize your sleep. For me, I would say I would love to be, and I try to most nights, be in bed by 9 o'clock. And that doesn't mean that I'm sleeping at 9, but I'm in bed at 9 and then I'm continuing my routine, whether it's reading or whatnot. But for me, that feels optimal because I like to get up early and do movement and do the things.
So would you describe yourself as a morning person then?
I would say so. I'm somebody I'm somebody who likes to wake up early in the morning. Doesn't mean that I'm like super energized and ready to go, but my
Don't
body...
talk to me. But that's it. Well, you and I have done the early morning workouts together, and I think it's interesting. Our morning selves meeting each other is very different than after a matcha meeting each other. So morning Des and morning Brandi are very different than evening Des and evening Brandi. And I think it's so cool that as a naturopathic doctor, you're giving people that permission to not have to be like someone else in their life that thinks that their way is the best. There is no right, perfect way for everyone. And like you said, I have a husband who is very similar to you. He would love to be in bed at 9 o'clock every night. And sometimes he's amazing at being selfish in the very best way and knowing that if he doesn't take care of himself, he's not going to be the amazing father, the amazing husband, the amazing colleague that he is. So he just does it. He just shuts down and he goes to bed. And a little secret thing for me is that he has taught me to be a little selfish, to practice self-love. I'll say it that way. And something that I do that I actually did last night is I will sleep alone. And this is not advice that we often see on any of these lists, but if you have an extra bedroom, if there's another place you can sleep, if your partner has gone to bed before you and is already well into those sleep cycles and stages, they might be snoring. It can be difficult for you to be doing what works best for you for sleep when someone beside you is in a whole other state. It's okay. We have an incredible marriage. We've been married for 20 years. I love him no different, but sometimes as a gift to really both of us, sleeping alone is where the magic can start to happen. And I for sure will do that multiple times through a month when I know I just need to get myself back on what works for me.
I love that. I love that you're using that permission slip to do what you feel you need. We all need things like that. Okay, let's talk about an optimal 10-step sleep routine.
Okay.
Let's get into
Let's
it and talk about these actionable steps because I know our listeners, if you're listening, you really want to have these actionable steps where you can actually make changes. And these are inspired by wellness philosophies. They are backed by research. So Brandi and I are going to share 10 together. Okay, so the first one, Brandi, give it to us.
Okay, so the first one for me is that you have to change your mindset. If you're not sleeping well, you just have to decide that you don't want that to be your reality. And you just have to decide that sleep is going to be your priority. Just the intention, just the mindset shift, just making that decision that sleep is going to be my priority from here on out will make a difference for you and will ensure that all of the other habits that we're going to talk to you about, that they will fall into place because you've set an intention for it. And then you can start to habit stack. So it's like treating bedtime like an appointment. And that appointment doesn't mean that your appointment time has to be my appointment time. Like we said, we are not going to say you have to go to bed at 10. Deciding that I know that tonight I have to do this, this, and this, and I'm going to get in bed at that time. Sharing your priority with your family, creating a supportive environment. Like, I'm not going to be able to get into bed until 11 o'clock tonight because of this. And I need you all to know that it is my intention to get in bed and fall asleep. So there's not going to be a movie on. Nobody's going to come and wake me up to tell me about what happened at the party they just were at. I have set an intention for this. This is my mindset shift, and it's an appointment for me. That's number one.
I love that. Where attention goes, focus flows.
Yes.
Make bedtime your appointment. Okay,
Yes.
cool. Number 2 is set a consistent bedtime. The reason consistency is important is because we have a circadian rhythm, and our circadian rhythm thrives on routine. That's the rise in cortisol, the fall in cortisol, the rise in melatonin, the fall in melatonin. And that circadian rhythm, that consistency really helps us be in tune with that circadian rhythm, and our body loves consistency. And so you can also habit stack as well by having some sort of consistent nighttime routine that falls right before bedtime, just like Brandi mentioned with the habit stacking. But I think the consistency is key. And so some people, for example, who are night shift workers, if you're having some consistency, that is better than just being erratic and all over the place. I think consistency is the main thing, and trying to be around, 30 minutes to an hour within that same window for your bedtime.
Absolutely. And like I said, for me, last night, I would have liked for it to be 10. It was 10:30. That's reality. So being consistent means like it's either 8 or it's 9 or it's 10 or it's 11 within kind of a window around there. I love that. Okay, my next one. So this will be step 3 if you're writing these down. Create a wind down routine. Make it about 30 to 60 minutes, but actually write down a routine that is going to be your wind down routine. And this is where you're going to do relaxing activities that signal your brain to transition into sleep mode. An online randomized trial of 991 subjects found that reading a book in bed improved sleep quality. This was measured by SQS scores. So this is not fake news. I'm not just saying, oh, reading before bed is nice. This is a trial. That's why I'm giving you that stat, because it's one of the things that I think both Dr. Desiree and I do once we get in there. Whether it is sipping a cup of tea or journaling or whatever your wind down routine is going to be for you, decide on it and stick to it. And for me, there's going to be a book open, and I swear I rarely make it to the end of a page. It's like my brain knows when that happens, sleep is coming. So create a routine for you that's the same consistent thing you do all the time.
So if you were to share with our listeners what your routine is prior to bed, so it's reading a book. Is there anything else that's in your routine?
Okay, so before that, I am brush my teeth, wash my face. So whatever your skincare routine is. We'll talk about pajamas in a minute, but changing out of your daytime clothes. And I know that sounds obvious. You're like, what are you talking about? Of course, everyone does that. No, friends. I know people that just don't want to put on pajamas, and they're like, I was already in sweats today and I'm comfy, so I'm going to sleep in that. Stop doing that. If that is your habit, that is not helping you. You need to signal to your body that something different is happening than what's been happening. So getting out of your daytime clothes and putting on clothing that is what you're going to sleep well in is that signal to your body. So PJs, wash my face, brush my teeth. I will do a little bit of planning for the next day for me because, and this happened last night. I have to get it out of my mind or I will sit there and ruminate on it while I should be sleeping. So I do just a little quick, it's not detailed, just get out of my brain what's still sitting there. My best friend calls this rage on the page.
Love it.
And then I crack open a book, which makes Craig crazy because often he, again, is ahead of me and I need my light to read. And these are nights when I know that he's already asleep ahead of me. Sleeping alone means I still get my routine and I can still have that bit of reading time before. So that's it. It's super simple for me. What about you?
For me, I try and do some reading. I like to get into bed. Same thing. I brush my teeth. I wash up. I'm ready to go. Skincare routine. I take some reishi, which we'll talk about. And then I get into bed. And then that's where I'm either reading a book or I'm journaling. So I put my phone away. I've got my alarms already set. Sometimes I will set an intention, the same thing. If I'm journaling for the next morning, like this is my intention in the morning, I'm going to get up and do XYZ. And sometimes if I find that I am struggling with my nighttime routine, I will also, when I get home from work, I will also write a little intention for my evening. This is what I'm going to do. And it helps me because if I realize, oh, I haven't meditated today or I haven't done this or I'm feeling stressed, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to write it down. And then my body and brain just kind of follow my intentions, which goes back to your first tip, which was making the intention. I'm going to be better at sleep and I'm going to sleep. Yeah.
Future me is a great sleeper. The power of writing it down.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
There's so many things that I want to jump ahead because I do other things that I don't consider part of the wind down routine, but I do them between when I'm finished that stage of like, okay, I know I'm not going to read anymore that are coming along and I'm excited to share them.
Okay.
But tell us what step 4 would be after we've got that routine settled.
Step 4 would be practice mindfulness or deep breathing.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why is this can activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest nervous system. So it's not our sympathetic nervous system, which is our fight, flight, or freeze. So we want to make sure that we are resting and digesting and really winding down to help reduce stress. And in terms of evidence, there was a meta-analysis that showed that mindfulness meditation was as effective as medications for treating sleep disturbances. You can do this mindfulness while you're in the shower or even post shower, or you can actually be in bed doing, your breathing practice. And so for me, I guess that mindfulness piece is when I am reflecting. So I'm asking, how is my day? How am I feeling? How is my body feeling? Mental, emotional, all of the things, and just really connecting.
Yeah. And I think this one is, I love to meditate in the morning. I know lots of people love to meditate at night instead. And this is why, because often the beginning of a meditation will be mindfulness first, which will include some intentional breathing. And that is that physical reset. So I'm not often an evening meditator. I just find I don't need to. I can often fall asleep with the other things that we'll continue to talk about. But I think the power of the breath is so undervalued.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things. The deep breathing is one of the things I do when I've decided I'm finished reading.
I love that.
I call it the 2X breath. I learned that through the first meditation courses I took, that making your exhale twice as long as your inhale is, I can literally feel my heart rate start to slow as I do that. So if you breathe in for 3, 1, 2, 3, you are breathing out. And it's like that belly breath where you are feeling that balloon start to deflate, and you would be breathing out for 6, which feels like a long time. But as you do a few cycles of that, like
your body just relaxes with each breath. And then you only need to do like 2 or 3 and you're totally relaxed.
That's it. So there's that parasympathetic nerve. You're like, well, how do I get into parasympathetic? Use your breath. It's a beautiful tool. Number 5, soothing music. I sent you a playlist last night, Dr. Des, a new one. Did you get it?
I did. I loved it. It was great.
Thank goodness for Spotify.
Thank goodness for Spotify. And thank goodness that you can turn on an alarm on your phone and it will stop playing whatever music. Some friend named Brandi told me how to do that. You can do that either on the timer app or within Spotify. Wow. Magic.
So I'm going to say this. Now, I'm saying listen to soothing music because I think that is for everyone. Right? Music is a universal language, and you can find on Spotify certain hertz are better for sleep. So you're not listening to your favorite songs. Often it's not even songs with any words in them. This is calming music. This has been shown to reduce sleep latency, the time it takes you to fall asleep, and improve the depth of your sleep. So the research on it, a study of 94 students found that classical music improved sleep quality better than an audiobook or silence as the controls. So dead silence is not helpful for you, even if you think it is. Research shows that actually some music is somewhere for the brain to sit. And an audiobook that is old me. Past me, I mean, addicted to learning and just consuming audiobooks as fast as I could and like thinking, oh, nighttime's a treat. I'm going to listen to another chapter. Well, my brain would be so buzzing with all this new information that I would just lay there writing books in my mind. It was great for the knowledge piece, not great for sleep. But I'm going to share something that all of us at Eversio HQ love to do at night. We share this tip with so many people. If music isn't doing it for you, or you just can't find the right music that feels right, there is a podcast. It's not an audiobook that is specifically designed with science to help you fall asleep. And it's called, we're going to write this down. It's called Nothing Much Happens. If you haven't heard of it before, I think it's one of the highest rated podcasts in the world. So you might have heard of it. Nothing Much Happens. Our friend Catherine Nicolai is the host, and she is an author. She's a writer and a podcaster who all she does is read her stories. It's story time, friends. At our house, we call her the story lady. Put on the story lady. If my kids say, Mom, I'm having trouble sleeping lately, just put on the story lady. As you've already done all these other things, like you can't just use the story lady. You still have to have your mindset shift and your consistent bedtime and your wind down routine, and you've done some breathing. And now you hit play on the story lady or your music. The Nothing Much Happens podcast is literally these little 15-minute stories, but she tells it twice. She goes a little slower the second time. And oh my gosh, it is
works.
Like, it's brain training.
Can confirm.
Nothing much happens in that story. That's why it's called Nothing Much Happens.
Yeah.
So you don't even care that you're falling asleep. I'm never upset the next day that I didn't find out because nothing much happens in there. It's just this beautiful, soothing voice to guide your brain into where it needs to go. I love that little trick. And I used it last night. I use it most nights. Many of my friends are using that little one. We're not being paid to say that. This isn't an ad for that podcast. I just think it's a beautiful gift to the world.
It is. It really is. And the biggest thing too is that, like you said, nothing much happens. It's not anything where it's this very exciting. It's a wholesome story, heart-centered. She's got a beautiful voice, very soft, and it just puts you right to sleep. Number 6 is get morning light. And it might sound counterintuitive to get morning light when we're talking about sleep, but morning light helps us regulate our circadian rhythm, tells our eyes, our retina, okay, it's time to get up. So exposure to sunlight within the first 15 to 30 minutes after waking is what anchors your circadian rhythm. So we talked about consistency. That wake cycle is just as important for sleep and to have an optimal sleep cycle. For you, if you are somebody who likes to go sit on your patio in the morning, perfect. Get some morning sunlight. Doesn't mean look at the sun, by the way. It just means we're outside, don't wear sunglasses, and just, let your body absorb that light. Or if you like a morning walk, then that can work too. It's that morning light in the morning.
Habit stacking. I love the idea. We're morning walkers.
Yeah.
And I never say no. If Craig's like, we have time for a walk, let's go. Getting that morning walk is doing them both at the same time. I think that just makes sense. So what you're saying to people is your bedtime routine actually starts first thing in the morning.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So you really do have to be like, you're not deciding to do a nighttime routine to help with sleep right before you go to bed. You're making this decision and setting this intention well ahead. I want to make sleep a priority. I'm starting first thing when I wake up in the morning, getting that sunlight in our eyes. I love it.
And I think too, this is why some people really struggle in the winter time, because there isn't really that light when they're getting up in the morning. And that's where maybe the artificial lights, like those sad lamps where they have the 10,000 lux in the morning. I noticed for me in particular, like this winter was a winter where I actually really did struggle with energy and my sleep cycle. I have no problem going to sleep, but in the morning, I found that it was really tough. And that's where I added in having that bright light in the morning, just because by the time I'm getting up and going to the gym, it's still dark outside and I didn't really feel energized. So light therapy can really help if you're struggling.
Yeah. And again, it's where it's not a one size fits all, because we all live on different parts of this planet.
Yeah.
And when I lived in Fort St. John, we would get 24 hours of darkness. It felt like sometimes, the day would be 4 hours long sometimes in the year.
Yeah.
There was no morning sunlight. And I think that makes it frustrating for people when they hear, oh yeah, it sounds great for you if you're living in California or Hawaii, and you can be sure there's going to be some sunshine for you to look at. We're saying expose yourself to that light and do it however it makes sense for you. And I did read the research on this when things were dark and dreary, and you can still get the UV. That is what's making this work in your body. It just means if it's cloudy or dreary or darker out, you have to stay out longer. And this is where a walk makes sense. If it's bright out where you are, you can get away with a little bit.
Yes.
And if I go out, even right now, so it's rainy today here where we are, we're in Raincouver, as Desiree likes to call it. It's cloudier or rainier. Today would be longer exposure time, because I know in order to get that amount, I need to be out there long enough to receive it. And then we go on, number 7 would be the evening light piece. And it's regulating that. And we're going to talk to you about blue light. You knew it was coming up. You see me I have them right here. You see me in my blue light nerd glasses all of the time. And it's because blue light suppresses melatonin production. And we know we want melatonin on board for a great sleep. Natural, not the synthetic stuff out of the bottle, but just putting on some blue light glasses. And that's why you see me wear them. I'm not blind. I actually have 20/20 vision, but I wear these when I know I've had enough and I am trying to suppress the blue light from getting in. And I like looking like a nerd sometimes too. So yes, you need to suppress that blue light. We're not kidding. If you are going to be on a screen in the evening, you have to suppress that light coming into your eyes. Shut the blinds. I know you like to shut it all down in your house and just avoid those bright lights in any way that they're coming at you. And with the opposite, dim, warm lighting can create that calming atmosphere. And for me, that's my red light. I love to, if I have a shower in the evening and I'm in the dark bathroom, or I'll come and sit in my office and put the red light on for a bit in the evening, that I feel like our ancestors sat around a fire at night. And I feel like I'm right there with them, understanding that calming. So dim your lights as part of your dinner cleanup routine. Habit stack dimming the lights onto whatever you do that's kind of ending your day. And it will help to regulate the evening light and set you up for success.
Love that. Training your body to know that sleep is coming.
Yeah.
Okay, number 8, regulating your bedroom temperature. So cooler environments promote deep sleep by lowering our core body temperature. So you can do this a couple different ways. You can actually turn the temperature down, but keep in mind, we don't want this to be an extreme where you're so cold that you struggle to sleep. We don't want it like that, but you can use a fan. You can use breathable bedding. You can take a warm bath to really help this process so that your body can cool off. So for me in particular, I always put the fan on, partly because it's white noise and I can fall asleep that way, but also it helps to keep a breeze going in my room, so to speak. 365 days a year, I always have the fan on because I find that I sleep better when I'm cooler.
Yeah. And I'm going to say it. So Desiree, of course, is in her 30s and I'm almost 50. And this is something that's so interesting because one of the questions Dr. Desiree gets a lot is about these effects of perimenopause.
Yes.
Of course, we're mushroom nerds. We haven't even gotten to the good stuff yet, you guys. But we get these questions about having like night sweats or hot flashes in the night, or I'm so hot at night that I can't sleep.
Yeah.
And this comes into this, even if you're regulating your bedroom temperature and you're doing all of these things to lower your temperature, sometimes perimenopausal, menopausal women will have a hot flash in the night and the poor husband sleeping beside them doesn't know what's going on because he's nice and cool. Because this is happening internally in us because of how we're managing the symptoms of perimenopause, because of how we're managing our hormone balance at that time. So as a perimenopausal, menopausal woman, I can tell you that your pajamas are going to make a big difference in this.
Yes.
So my advice to you on this tip 8 is that bedtime is not a fashion show. And in my 20s and in my 30s, I loved to collect amazing pajamas. And I love putting my pajamas on as part of my bedtime routine. And I like to look great and cozy and feel, like I have honored the act of sleep with this beautiful bedtime wardrobe. There's a whole industry out there in pajama land. But a game changer for me was taking those pajamas off before I go to bed. So I'm not telling you have to sleep naked, but it can be, if you are perimenopausal and you're having night sweats, just go to bed naked and get over yourself. Or put on some bamboo or 100% organic cotton little shorts and a tank. Don't wear flannel pajamas, cozy polar fleece pajamas, a onesie to bed because it looks great when you're awake.
Yeah. Or socks or flannel sheets.
That's it. You really do have to be mindful about not just the bedding, but your pajamas and the clothing you're bringing into your bed as well. There are lots of things you can do outside of this situation to help with those hot flashes and night sweats. And we'll talk about that. That's to do with your hormones. But temperature is a big deal in this house where Craig is always hot and I'm always cold. And for a long time, because I'm always cold, I was getting into bed in these heavy pajamas. And then I'm literally waking up and thinking, how is he still cold? I'm so hot. It was ridiculous. Just go to bed naked. Try it. See if you like it. See if you like it.
You
Get
won't
back
know
to me
until
on
you
that.
try. You won't know until you try.
Let's move on to number 9. Avoid stimulants and heavy meals before bed. I'm going to talk to you about caffeine, my friends. I'm not a big fan of caffeine really any time of day anyway. You know, I'm a matcha drinker. I like to drink tea, and there definitely is caffeine in there, but it's got a bit of L-theanine on the side to balance it out. And you know, I'm putting mushrooms in there that are calming too. But in the evening, caffeine, it's a major disruptor. Dr. Des, what's the half-life of caffeine?
8 hours.
So tell us what that means for people.
So that means that after 8 hours, so let's say somebody has a 3 o'clock cup of coffee, okay? You're having caffeine. The half-life is 8 hours. So that means only 50% of the caffeine in your system is broken down at 11 o'clock.
You've got all that caffeine still sitting in your system when you should be sleeping. And that's not helpful. That's not loving to yourself to do it. I know coffee tastes amazing if you're a coffee lover. I know that great cup of tea. You think, I can still go to sleep. It's no problem. I can drink caffeine all night. But you're not getting the quality sleep you could be getting if you weren't allowing that caffeine to be in your system. You're not a superhuman. Your sleep cycles and those stages of sleep are the same as every other human. They're going to vary. They're going to vary in the length. They're going to vary in the intensity. But if you want to get into that deep sleep that we talked about where all the repair is happening, you have got to get that caffeine as low as it can be at night. And that means drinking your caffeine as early as you can in the day if you have to have it. And late night eating is really no different. It is disrupting those sleep phases again. It's disrupting your metabolic recovery. Eating your last meal with some relaxing tea, so maybe a ginger tea or chamomile tea. I love peppermint tea. My kids like the nighty-night tea. Doing that as early as you can so that your body has had a chance to do its digestive work and be able to start relaxing early on is something that we can't deny it. It's science. And the other stimulant that we don't always want to talk about is alcohol. And there are so many people that think having the bed bourbon and having the nightcap, it just really helps me to sleep. No, you're not sleeping. Yes, you think you're sleepy because of the effects of the alcohol on your brain and your body. But if you are one of those women that we just talked about that's having the night flashes, just removing the alcohol, I promise you, will help that to go away. There are so many chemical processes happening in your body in order to process the alcohol that you've put in that you have just disrupted all of those stages and cycles from behaving like they should in the body. I won't rant, but alcohol disrupts your sleep stages. I'll just say it like that. Don't drink right before bed.
Well, especially with alcohol, I mean, if we look at it from a physiological perspective too, it's going to be changing our heart rate variability. And we know, generally speaking, the higher it is, the better it is because, we're going to be higher in parasympathetic. So alcohol can lower our HRV. And then also you're impacting the amount of REM sleep. So that quality sleep and actually feeling rested. And then when we talk about meals and eating a heavy meal right before, well, that's where our heart rate actually increases because our body is working to digest the food. So if we've had enough time between our last meal and going to bed, our heart rate can lower because now we're in a parasympathetic state. Our body doesn't need to work to digest all of the food. Our body can focus on just repairing and sleeping.
It's a big thing. So yes, I know alcohol makes you feel drowsy. That's different than quality sleep. And I think knowing that the food and the alcohol, that the fact that they are interfering with neurotransmitters and hormone regulation is all you need to know. They are interfering with those two things, and we need those things to be on point in order to have optimized sleep.
Okay, number 10 is gathering data and reflecting on some of these changes that you've made or just what your current state of sleep is so that you can optimize sleep. So when we're tracking our sleep, whether that's how long it takes to fall asleep generally, how many times we're waking up in the middle of the night, the amount of hours of sleep, our bedtime, our wake time, things like that, that can really help us to identify patterns so that we can make informed adjustments, right? So if we're habit stacking with certain things, we can realize, okay, maybe for me, if I'm having a cup of tea in the evening, but I'm having a ginger tea, ginger is very warming to my body, but I'm also having night sweats. Maybe we need to switch the type of herbal tea we're having, for example. Maybe it needs to be peppermint where it's cooling because then it can help to mitigate some of the hot flashes, for example. Maybe it's something else. So that's just a small example of when we're gathering data and reflecting on our current state of sleep, our current habits, then from there we have that awareness where we can make the changes. And sometimes when we make the change, we might need to make it again and tweak and tweak. Just because we've tried something once and it doesn't work doesn't mean that it actually doesn't work for us.
Give it a chance. Give sleep a chance.
Give sleep a chance.
And I know you, when you say gather data, I know what I know you are marking down those sleep scores. And so many people are talking about their sleep score, and if you get 100%, you're for sure sharing that on Instagram if you're somebody who is excited about what that feels like for you. And we did that for a long time. I would send you my screenshot, 100%. I got 100%, or I'd get a streak, like 7 days in a row of 100% sleep score. I just learned. I was gathering data and I knew what I was doing in order to get those amazing sleep scores. And like I said, I don't wear the device anymore because I taught my body to understand what it felt like and create the routines. And now I just know. So I don't know whether I'm going to guess. Actually, I know my sleep score would have been 100%. I had the best sleep last night. And it wasn't the perfect routine. Like I said, I was set a little bit off because life gets in the way. We all have life. But I didn't change the other things that I do. And I had an incredible sleep last night. I know what it felt like when I woke up. And you know me, I wake up and I wake up, I go pee. I drink about a liter of water. I have my morning water, and then I put on my eye mask and I drop into meditation. And that meditation tells me how well I slept. I know what it feels like for me to get that deep, restful sleep. And if I'm not getting it and I'm mentally documenting it, it's so easy for me to go back through this list and figure out our bedroom's really hot right now, or I didn't get any morning light this morning, or I forgot to put on the story lady, or really it's not my priority right now because my priority is editing a manuscript. Whatever it is, it's one of those things is off if you're not sleeping well. And if you go into a phase through your life where you start looking at those 10 things, we promise you your sleep is going to change. And we're so, so excited for you. Because we are mushroom nerds, we cannot leave you without the science around mushrooms and how if all of those things are on your list and you're doing them all and you're still struggling, yes, there is the science of mushrooms and sleep. So Dr. Des, educate us, talk to us about the science of mushrooms and sleep.
Yeah, we could not talk about sleep and functional mushrooms without talking about reishi, because reishi is the sleep mushroom, but there are also different functional mushrooms that can support sleep, and we'll talk about that. Reishi, we know, is called the mushroom of immortality, and it's been shown to calm the nervous system. There was this one particular study in 2012. It was published in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology, and they found that reishi extract reduced sleep latency, so the time it takes to fall asleep, and increase the total sleep time in animal models. And researchers concluded that reishi may promote relaxation through its impact on the GABAergic system. So in this study, these rats were administered varying doses of reishi extract, and researchers observed increased sleep duration compared to the controls, especially in the non-REM sleep stages. And we know that GABA, so I mentioned the GABAergic system, GABA is a neurotransmitter that slows brain activity, and it can help you relax and prepare for sleep. So when we look at another study with reishi where they were examining how can reishi impact sleep as well, because we know it can help fall asleep, we know it can help you stay asleep, we know it can help with the quality of sleep and just overall energy levels. Well, there are a lot of people too who are taking pharmaceuticals to help with sleep. And this research is particularly exciting for me because I have a family member who struggled to sleep for decades. They would take every single pharmaceutical that they possibly could that was recommended by their doctor, prescribed by their doctor, and still really struggled to sleep. And for those of you who have taken an insomnia medication, you know that in the morning, sometimes it can be really tricky to be able to get up. You feel so drowsy. But this one study in particular was examining reishi for sleep, and they found that reishi improved all of these things that we talked about, and it acted in a benzodiazepine-like fashion. So benzodiazepines are really common pharmaceuticals that are used to provide insomnia relief, so people who just really cannot sleep. But long-term use of benzodiazepines, and actually they're not intended for long-term use. They're supposed to be short-term. But long-term use can lead to tolerance, it can lead to dependency, and as well, of course, adverse effects. If somebody tells you that a pharmaceutical medication has no adverse effects, they're lying. Every single pharmaceutical medication has a resulting other action or adverse effect. And so, you know, with these benzodiazepines and with this study, reishi, so it didn't have that dependency. There's no dependency. There's no tolerance with reishi. And so that is a huge win for those of you who are really struggling to sleep and taking pharmaceutical medications. So just the fact that reishi can improve that, but it's improving it through the microbiota dependent and serotonin associated pathways. So in the brain episode 2, Brandi mentioned that we have majority of our serotonin production is in the gut. And so reishi is impacting our sleep in the brain with neurotransmitters and the GABAergic system, but it's also impacting our gut as well, because that's important for neurotransmitters and for sleep. And so this study that examined the fruiting body extracts of reishi noted that a 3-day administration of reishi has the potential to, of course, increase total sleep time, the length of NREM sleep, which results in a more restful sleep. And they essentially said that it's likely in its ability not only for all of these other actions, but as well as how it can modulate cytokines such as TNF alpha, which can be involved in sleep regulation and promotion of NREM sleep. So very cool, very comprehensive for reishi.
Like there's just, if you've taken reishi, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's part of my nighttime routine. I don't actually take it all the time when my sleep is on point and it's on point and it's on point. But as soon as there's been a disruption, I am for sure including reishi in my evening to get myself back there. And back to the hot flashes and the night sweats, if you're one of those people that's having it, reishi is one of those things that supports, it's an adaptogen, so it is helping to regulate cortisol and the stress response. It's supporting the adrenals. So we know that if night sweats are the reason you're not sleeping, reishi can be the thing that's fixing the problem that's making you have the night sweat or hot flash. They're also related together, and there's no doubt that reishi, yes, it gets the most press time when we talk to it about sleep, but it's not one thing. Like, look at what Dr. Des just showed you, what's going on in your brain, what's going on in your adrenals, what's going on in your gut. Reishi is affecting all of the parts, all of the systems, and working together to get you to that great sleep. I love it. Okay, what else?
Okay. Lion's mane as well. So I know we typically celebrate lion's mane for its cognitive benefits, but it can also impact REM sleep. There was this 2020 study in Frontiers of Neuroscience, and it revealed that lion's mane's impact on neurogenesis indirectly improved sleep patterns in participants with mild cognitive impairment. So these participants consumed lion's mane for 12 weeks with significant improvements in REM sleep duration and reduced sleep disturbances, as assessed through a polysomnography, so a sleep test. And so by supporting a healthy brain and nervous system, lion's mane can really help enhance overall sleep quality. And like Brandi said, when we're sleeping, that's when, we can tidy our house, and that's when our glymphatic system is working. And why not support neurogenesis and mitigating inflammation levels and optimizing sleep all at the same time?
Yeah, I remember you teaching me that early on, the glymphatic system, like, the garbage truck is coming, friends. Make sure you're asleep.
Coming to the house.
Yeah, it's coming to your house, and it's going to take all that junk away. So you have to be sleeping if you want that garbage to be picked up. If your garbage doesn't get picked up because you missed getting your garbage out, it's a disaster at our house. Like, everybody's freaking out. The garbage didn't get picked up. What's going to happen? It only gets picked up once every 2 weeks around here. We have a small garbage can. We try not to create a lot of waste. And that's just happening, like our garbage can at our house. In your brain, if all of that junk that's happening just by the process of being human is getting collected in your brain, and it can be mental junk and physical junk, if that doesn't get picked up, you're dealing with it the next day. You don't feel refreshed because you aren't, because that process didn't happen. I love that lion's mane and reishi together become this nice sleep team, and maybe that would be a cool product or a cool duo to have. Okay, I love it.
I think so. Okay.
I mean, if I already didn't love lion's mane enough, the fact that it's helping me with that great sleep, probably why I am such a good sleeper, because there's not a day I haven't taken lion's mane in over 4 years now. Okay, what else?
Okay, another one is cordyceps. So, we think of cordyceps as an energy booster.
Sleep?
Yeah.
What are you saying?
Right?
Okay, listen up, friends. Listen up.
So I'm not saying to take it before bed because of its energy enhancing properties or boosting properties, but there is research for cordyceps with respect to the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, the HPA axis, which also helps to govern stress, and reishi can also help to modulate this axis as well. But we think of cordyceps for that energizing property. So there was a 2019 study in the Biomedicine and Pharmacology, and it noted that cordyceps extract helped balance cortisol levels, paving the way for deeper sleep cycles. So as a really quick refresh, when we wake up, our cortisol levels are high. That's what promotes wakefulness. Our melatonin levels are low. As the day goes on and we get closer to nighttime and sleep and bedtime, our melatonin levels rise and cortisol levels decrease. So helping to modulate that, and that can be something where individuals who are struggling with sleep or having insomnia, it can be related to cortisol levels. So helping to manage that, where not only cordyceps, you're helping with the modulation of your stress hormone, but also you're promoting that energy and wakefulness in the morning, helping with the circadian rhythm.
So it's just like getting that morning light in your eyes is the start of your sleep routine. Even though it's first thing in the morning, you're not thinking about sleep in that moment. Cordyceps is the same thing. So getting cordyceps in when you're getting that morning light. So this is 3 mushroom blend going into your morning smoothie, taking your cordyceps capsules as your pre-workout in the morning is going to help you sleep at night.
Yeah, it's all related. Okay, and then the last one, let's talk about chaga. So it's not directly sedative, and neither are any of these functional mushrooms that we've talked about. They're not sedatives, but with chaga, its high antioxidant content helps to reduce oxidative stress, which is really critical for restorative sleep. There was this 2021 research study that was published in Antioxidants, which showed that chaga's ability to reduce inflammation markers, which are often elevated in people with sleep disturbances. So in this randomized control trial, participants taking chaga for 8 weeks reported improved sleep quality on the Pittsburgh Sleep Quality Index. And the thing to note is that less inflammation equals better recovery during sleep.
Yeah, totally makes sense. I've lived that. I can tell you, if you are someone that is struggling with inflammation, when you lay down at night, it feels worse. It is not helping you sleep. So definitely having a plan to manage your inflammation is going to help you have that better recovery while you're sleeping, just promoting it beforehand. Okay, so you've got 4 then: reishi, lion's mane, cordyceps, and chaga. Not all at bedtime though. And this is where people think I have to take something, and then there's a pill for an ill. I have to take the thing and then I'm going to sleep. And what you're saying is, no, this is happening throughout your day. Typical day then might be I am taking my cordyceps and my lion's mane and my chaga sometime throughout the day, morning, afternoon, and then I'm taking my reishi before bed.
Yeah.
What about people who, what about magnesium? How do you feel about including these mushrooms with other things that people love to use to support sleep?
Yeah, great question. I would say magnesium for me personally is one of my non-negotiable supplements, along with lion's mane. I take magnesium every night before bed. There are a lot of benefits for taking magnesium at bed. Keep in mind that the form of magnesium is important because some forms of magnesium are more laxative in nature and some are more geared towards vasodilation and muscle relaxation. So I take a magnesium bisglycinate before bed. Also keep in mind the dose that's going to be best for you is going to vary. I personally think that taking them in combination can work wonders. When we look to Health Canada's mushroom monograph, just to see in terms of any contraindications, there are no known or noted contraindications with respect to those. So I often will I don't take reishi every single night before bed, but when I do, I'm also taking it with magnesium and I have amazing sleeps. I will say for those of you who are hypotensive, I would say to just be mindful about what your blood pressure is. So I would say with reishi, there's no contraindications with respect to that. However, it's more of an anecdotal thing, or it's more of just monitoring and knowing what is best for yourself. So that can help to lower blood pressure and can help transition into sleep. So if you're potentially combining with reishi, just be mindful of the dose and what affects you.
Yeah, a good reason to decide maybe I can try switching to something natural over time and see if it can do the same thing. Like something natural doing the same thing as a pharmaceutical. Could it be? It could be.
Yeah, it could be.
It could be. I love it so much, but I can't leave everyone without just a few little resources in case you're thinking, I really want to sleep. I love all the tips. I'm going to try all of the things, but here are a couple of things. There is a website called the Sleep Foundation. So it's just sleepfoundation.org. And it is full of science-backed tips and insights about sleep disorders, because sometimes it's more intense than what we're talking about. If you're listening and going, yeah, but I have this, or my husband has that, and there's all kinds of other things, there are online resources with good science and information there that have other solutions. So do your own research is what I'm saying. Educate yourself about what's going on. The HeartMath Institute. So back in February on Valentine's Day, on the 14th, we dropped episode 14, and it was all about the heart, mushrooms in the heart. And we talked to you about the HeartMath Institute. which is HeartMath, HeartMath, heartmath.org. It has lots of tools and research on heart coherence and its impact on sleep. So we didn't talk about the heart and how it affects sleep back in that episode because we were talking about the heart. We talked a lot about love in that episode and the importance of the wakefulness part. But that website is fantastic with the awesome research. It shares all for free. And then there are lots of just really practical tools there as well. And then if there's a podcast that you're going to listen to on your walk in the day, not before you're going to bed at night, Huberman Lab, Dr. Desiree and I both love Huberman Lab podcast, and he has so many episodes focused on sleep optimization, and he gets all into the nerdy neuroscience of circadian biology. I don't know, if you're a nerd like me and you want to actually know about the mechanisms of action and what's happening in the brain and the neuroscience, I think he's the best we've got out there. So there's a podcast for you. And then, like we already mentioned, the Nothing Much Happens podcast is the one you're allowed to listen to at night, where the story lady will be reading you that bedtime story every single night. And I defy you to stay awake until the end of that story. So those are 4 little things that you can walk away with to try out as you start to include some mushrooms in your routine. And remember that they don't work the first day you take them often. They work best with prolonged use, and you've got to give them time and a chance. We always end with a review, and today I have 2.
Yep, let's do it.
I couldn't pick one. I'm so bad. I just, when we record these podcasts, we go diving into the reviews, and I'll read for an hour because the reviews on the website mean everything to me, and I'm so grateful to all of you for them. And the ones that we choose are just ones that in the moment feel like something that has to be shared. The first review I will share is for the 4 mushroom blend, which has reishi and lion's mane in it, along with some shiitake and maitake. And this review is from Christine F., and she's from Canada. And the title of her review is Game Changer. She says, in menopause, the 4 mushroom blend has helped to alleviate my symptoms, and I sleep through the night consistently.
Wow.
Like, short and sweet, but there's somebody that's doing what we just said. And yes, she's menopausal and she's sleeping through the night.
Amazing.
It's amazing. Like, it can happen. It does happen. Okay, my second one is longer because after we recorded that episode about the heart, we got this review. So this review just came in February, and it's from Bridget B. in the United States. And this is what she says. The title is Grateful. She says, my husband and I started the 4 mushroom blend in November of 2024 as we were both in need of lowering our cholesterol. Total cholesterol was over 200 for both, and LDL was over 150 for both. We just got our blood work back. So this is 3 months later after starting. And the total cholesterol is 144 and 155 respectively.
Wow.
So I know. So just by including mushrooms, they went from over 200 to down to 144 and 155. Hey!
Amazing.
Their LDL went to 128 and 89 respectively, had been over 150. She says, my husband had stopped taking his medication a year ago, and I did not want to even start taking anything. So she has been on a naturopathic journey since trying to find a better answer. I am so grateful to the founder of Eversio Wellness, Brandi and Dr. Des. Thank you for making it possible to heal my family naturally. Sending love, Bridget.
Wow.
Makes me so happy. She ran her own little clinical trial and she found mushrooms to be her medicine.
That is so cool. I love the N of 2 study to get the feedback there. Okay, my review is from Ashley D. in the United States, and she says, Chill Now has been life-changing. That's a pretty big statement. So she goes, before trying this product, I would wake up in the middle of the night about every 2 hours. I felt like I was the lightest sleeper on the planet. Even the smallest sound or lightest glimmer of light would wake me up. When I would wake up, my heart would be racing and I would be on the verge of a panic attack. It would take me at least 30 minutes to fall back asleep. I would wake up exhausted and depleted. When I tried Chill Now, everything changed. I felt the effects of Chill Now the first night I took the mushrooms. My head hit the pillow, I was out, and then the next thing I knew, it was morning. I slept like a peaceful baby. I woke up almost confused by the fact that it was already morning. I finally felt rested and rejuvenated. It has been 3 months now since I have started using Chill Now. I take 2 capsules every night. My sleep has never been so consistently good. My days are more full of life than they were before. The high potency and quality sourcing is what makes this product stand out from the rest. That is so cool.
These customers should be writing books. Like, what a beautiful thing to share with us. These reviews come in every day. And when I go back and I read this, the fact that somebody took the time to come and leave a review, you need to know we're doing a happy dance over here every time you share those with us. And to go into so much detail, it's just so helpful to other people to hear, not coming from us, that in both of our reviews, these people gave it 3 months. It's so important to know. Like, you have to be patient with natural products. They take time to work. And that this is a real life person that is sleeping great. Remember, small changes to your sleep routine can have a big impact on your health. Start with 1 or 2 steps from what we talked about today. Stack from there, and know that we are sending you so much love on your sleep journey and wishing you sweet dreams every night of the rest of your life.
Instead of be well, it's sleep well.
Sleep well and stay well, everyone. Bye-bye.
We hope you learned something new here today. If anyone you know could benefit from what we shared in this episode, please share it with them. And if you're interested in adding mushroom wellness to your life, you can use code podcast15 to save 15% on your entire order at eversiowellness.com.
If you haven't yet left us a rating and review, subscribed to this podcast, or followed our social media accounts listed in the show notes, we would so appreciate that. Thank you so much for sharing this moment with us. Until next time, be well.